The 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship presented by Rady Children's Hospital. Canada and Australia trying to rebound after losses in each of their last games. For the Maple Leafs, a couple days off separating them from their defeat to the United States of America. Looking at the standings in Pool A, here is how things shake out entering the day. The U.S. at 2-0, the Haudenosaunee at 1-0. Those two will square off after Canada and Australia. As you see, the Sharks and the Maple Leafs sitting right there at 1-1 and 0-1 respectively. Hi everybody, welcome to Torero Stadium alongside Courtney Martinez-Connor. I'm Cooper Perkins. We're thrilled that you'd spend your Saturday with us. Courtney, both of these teams looking for rebounds. Specifically for Canada, they're trying to get their offense back on track. Just 5 goals against the U.S. They think this is an opportunity for them to show what they're about.
In talking with head coach Matt Brown, he said he just wants everyone involved. He doesn't care who puts the ball into the back of the net, but it's a matter of moving it quickly across the field and getting that ball to where they want it to be, in 2 players' hands particularly. There
are 2 players that you can look for tonight to initiate things and set things up with their passing. They are the 2 best passers in the field and 2 of the best in the world, Dane Smith and Jeff Teat.
The vision that each of these 2 players has is tremendous. They're going to play on different parts of the field. Jeff Teat mainly behind the goal, Dane Smith up top, but expect for a lot to be facilitated through them.
For Australia, their offense also looking for a bounce-back performance. They were held to 3 by the United States last night. They're going to turn things over to the man they call the wind-up toy, Isaac Cahill, the only man to score for both of the 2 Sharks games.
Isaac Cahill, love the fact that they call him strong as an ox. He's somebody who has such a great finishing capability in and around the crease. Why he has 2 goals in each of the games. So eyes up for him throughout the game for Australia.
Coming up on the other side of the break, we'll have face-off between Canada and Australia. You're watching the 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship. Pool A play, Canada and Australia from Torero Stadium in San Diego, California. Game number 2 for the Canadians as you see Brett Dobson set to get his first start of the tournament between the pipes. He's joined on the defense by Patrick Shumay, Graham Hossack, and Brody Merrill. Casey Wilson, Justin Inacio, and the wing Rylan Reese round out the midfield. And at attack, Ryan Lee, Curtis Dixon, and Jeff Teat for Canada. For Australia, between the pipes, they have Sean Aaron, started in their opener against England, then came off the bench at halftime last night against the USA. He's been arguably the best goaltender in the tournament so far. His starting defense, Ashby Dennis, Lockie Russell, and Jeff Millsop. Elsewhere in the starting lineup for Australia, Parsons Quintio, Lockie Walker, Josh Harris, Isaac Cahill, and Cal Gibson. We're underway as Inacio wins it clean in Canada. Shot out of a cannon to start. They'll work it through Curtis Dixon, former Delaware Blue Hen, feeding out front. Stopped by Aaron. Heck of a save to open the game.
Canada already making adjustments from their first game, the very opening game of World Championships. Coach Matt Brown said he wants them to be more aggressive on the field, and that's just not offensively, but on the defensive end of this as well. He felt like they weren't picking up ground balls as well as they could have starting the attack, and offensively, he just wants them to move with speed.
Now, Australia is in no hurry to go. We can expect them to try and have deliberate possessions. Their head coach, Glenn Meredith, was telling us before the game, they want their average time of possession around 1:15. Last night against the U.S., it was only about 50 seconds.
That's right. He said he wouldn't even mind increasing that to 1:30, but bottom line, don't rush things, take your time. So a little bit of a different play than what Canada is looking to adjust.
Working things through Lockie Walker, now Isaac Cahill, who we highlighted at the top of the show, or the Cal Gibson, I should say. Gibson scored yesterday for Australia. The Sharks taking advantage of the fact there is no shot clock in international lacrosse. Feeding Gibson just wide. Off the rebound, it's Dobson with the stop.
When the defense is hung up, you most definitely have an advantage offensively. They played that so very well on the offensive side, but just putting the ball into the back of the cage, and that's another focus for Australia. They felt like they had a few miscues in their last game versus Team USA.
Burn off the feed from his Buffalo Bandits teammate Dane Smith. Lacrosse fans have seen that dozens of times. It's 1-0.
Josh Byrne, number 22 in red. He is an initiator, and you can see that as the ball is transitioned. Again, a focus for Canada, pushing that fast break. Once that ball is in his stick, Dane Smith, he is one of the best at having vision on the field. We talked about him in the open. His eyes were up. He sees that he has Josh Byrne on that high left side, and Josh is an outstanding outside shooter. Coach has said he has one of the best shots on the team.
Yeah, one of the best shots in the tournament. Byrne, of course, dominated the World Games in the Sixers discipline for Canada as they took gold. A tie-up at the face-off X between Tim Graham and Justin Inacio, turning into a wrestling match. Look at the forearm strength as they battle for the clamp. It's Parsons Quintio who comes out with it. Walker hums it wide. Walker will settle things into the offense for Australia. They played the U.S. tight for about the first 10 minutes of their game last night. It was 0-0 at the first media timeout. The U.S. though ripped off 5 in a row to finish the first quarter and eventually went to halftime up 10-2. But Australia did not quit. They were within a goal of the United States in the second half and held the Stars and Stripes just 2 tallies. Here they are on offense, trying to crack the seal. Matt Houston wheels back around for Gibson. Quick ball movement, McDonough. Houston with time and room. Houston save. Dobson gets out in front of it.
Pool A, it's definitely a gauntlet of teams that you have to go through throughout pool play. You are playing truly the best in the world, all of the top teams. So you're going to test yourself early on. And as we look at this save, nice little hesitation, step around that defensive player who he froze, but an even better save. Team Canada as they transitioned that ball yet again quickly. I like how they're taking what was needing to be worked on from Team USA game, right? You take what your coach says, you apply it. We've already seen that happen here early on.
You have to wonder in that game against the U.S. how much Canada was willing to show, knowing that they'll probably meet again in the gold medal game. But today, trying to put on a show, give everyone an idea that Canada might just be the best team in the tournament. And Dane Smith driving his way on Donnie Walker. Walker strips it from him. The one goal so far, Josh Byrne off a feed from Dane Smith in transition as Canada leads 1-0.
As you look at the rivalry between Team USA and Canada, so many times they've met in that gold medal matchup.
There's Smith sweeping, reversing for Byrne, feeding Jeff Teat. Backside for Smith on a step down, and Aaron plucks it out of the net.
And here's where they can take the air out of the ball a little bit. No need to push transition, start your possession now, take your time. They've had some good looks at the cage, the team in gold, Australia. In fact, both saves at each end of the field have been stellar, point blank. And both of them robbing the attackers. Aaron on that last one for the team in gold.
No, Australia wearing the gold today, Canada in red as you might expect. About 6 minutes into the first quarter of Pool A play. Game number 2 for Canada, game number 3 for Australia. Isaac Cahill, wind-up toy. He moves it for Mitch Baker, plays at Rutgers here in the United States of America. Up top, Braden Panting, the Perth boy. Matt Wood happy to methodically work Australia into their offensive set. Had a few good looks against the U.S. yesterday, but either weren't able to connect on passes or missed the cage, or, as Glenn Meredith pointed out, hit the post 3 times.
That's always difficult when you're just maybe inches or centimeters away from having a potential goal that can be a big momentum, a swing, a spark for your team, so to speak.
Challen Rogers, the short stick defender, leaves it off for Casey Wilson to take over. Now all back behind the net, Isaac Cahill. Patrick Shumay, the RIT product, defending him. Now Matt Wood dodges at Wilson. Wood, shot does not get all the way through, and Graham Hosick vacuums up the ground ball. Even numbers, Canada maybe with a little advantage. Teat to the trailer, Challen Rogers. He can shoot, but will pass it up and allow Canada to get into things. Hosick with that long stick, spins one low to low. So Canada's offense, just one goal courtesy of Josh Byrne here in the first quarter. Byrne scored twice against the U.S. in their opener. Wesley Berg, a fan favorite in San Diego, playing for the local Seals for the last 3 seasons. Now Connor Fields coming off a career year in the National Lacrosse League. Fields gets hands free. Extra pass, Dixon. Turned aside. Excellent defense there by Josh Harris. Dixon. Aaron got a stick on it and has his 3rd save of the first quarter. So Sean Aaron, the product of Union College, where he was a 3-time All-American, went 7 out of 9 off the bench last night and is 3 out of 4 to start against Canada. To say that he is not intimidated would be an understatement.
Absolutely. I love the fact that defense, number one, the physicality, the toughness, what we're seeing displayed on all-world attackers, not backing down. And as Coach Meredith described for Australia, he felt their defense got into a rhythm after they got into the second half. So very impressed with their play.
Canada on the ride forces a turnover. A goalie battle early in Pool A play. Canada 1, Australia 0. The 14th edition of the World Lacrosse Men's Championship featuring 107 total games. This one in Pool A being the 31st. Can you believe it? We're on day 4, only 31 games. There's still so much lacrosse to be played. Top 5 ranked nations in the world are in Pool A. Canada is number 2. Australia is number 4. As they are midway through the first quarter at Torero Stadium, where it is 1-0 Canada. It could be 3 or 4-0, but Sean Aaron has been great between the pipes, and the Canucks will want to make a couple of adjustments to their shooting.
Canada, they have range. They can shoot from a distance. I'd like to see them pumping that ball inside a little bit more, moving their feet, power shooters, but when something's not falling, change it up.
Now Josh Byrne, who has the 1 tally for Team Canada. He and his Buffalo Bandit teammate, Dane Smith, also in the PLL, both of them superstars. Clark Peterson working his way across the field. Jeff Teat, one of the best feeders in the game. And Smith isos on Jeff Millsap. Tough matchup for the short stick, Donnie Walker. Byrne, jab steps, redodges, scoops underneath to his right hand. Byrne, kick save again. Sean Aaron.
Anytime you get early and often saves, especially against one of the top teams in the country, arguably maybe even the top.
McKinnon hums it wide.
You can't help but build your confidence. It builds the defense's confidence. It was a big message for Australia when the coach said, we want to get out on their hands early, not let them get into any continuous flows. And I'd say they're definitely succeeding with that, even though we're early here. First quarter's winding down.
Just under 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Running clock outside of the last 30 seconds of each quarter and 2 minutes of the game. Australia in gold, working the ball around the perimeter. Isaac Cahill thinks about dodging on Graham Hosick. Instead, we'll move it to the short stick matchup for Cal Gibson, defended by Latrell Harris. Houston Matt Houston, collegiate player in the United States. Loyola University, broke his arm during the season this year, but is back and healthy. Chance to play for the Australian national team, something he couldn't pass up. Had previously been a part of their under-20 program. Houston and Cahill with a two-man game up top. Australia trying to break through for their first goal of the game. It took them more than a quarter to break through against the U.S. last night. McDonough zips a pass, and Cam Wires gets a stick on it, but a broken play. Walker might have gotten a piece of the post and kicks up out of play. So a timeout on the field as Lockie Walker's shot backed up will keep possession with Australia. Let's take a moment here to talk about what Canada's defense looks like. We haven't had the opportunity to see them get tested so far this afternoon, as Australia has played a lot in their own end, defending their own goal. They are stacked, though. We saw them give the U.S. some fits in the first half, and then in the second half, the Americans were able to slow things down with a lead. But they're a talented group out the back end, even without Owen Grant, who missed the tournament.
You look at Brody Merrill, he is one of the best players in the world. Obviously, he has a ton of experience. And then you have other players who are stepping in, those who he has mentored over the years. Michael Grace, he played for him at the Hill Academy in Canada. And then so many other players who are stepping into those roles of players, veterans, who are potentially, this is their last big world championship experience.
A rare moment with Canada caught a bit out of position with Wires out trying to force a turnover. That's one area where they're willing to be a little bit more aggressive, particularly against an Australia team. Glenn Meredith said last night he expected to see pressure from the United States, expects to see pressure today from Canada. There may be opportunities here and there like that should the Canadians get a little bit overextended and the Sharks take care of the ball.
You know, each plays into one another. Canada, they want to be more aggressive, getting that ground ball out. I like the fact that defensively they took a risk going for that. However, they didn't come up with it. So Australia moving that ball quickly, getting a clear look on cage. However, it's all about the goalies, and they are coming up with some big saves back to back to back.
Yeah, Sean Aaron really the story for Australia. 4 for 5, making tough stops between the pipes. Brett Dobson is perfect. He has a couple of saves himself for Canada, getting the start after Dylan Ward had the nod against Team USA. Australia in the goal. Braden Pantine trots into the box. Dodges at Harris. Drifts his way back behind the net and will invert. Harris really comfortable with a short stick. Grew up playing box lacrosse in Canada, as did most of these players. So he knows probably more about playing defense with a shorty than with a pole. He will change between the two at times. Right now playing short stick. Here's Isaac Cahill. Feeding on the backside. Pantine floated beneath GLE. And he tucks his shot wide around the defender Harris.
And that's just Pantine using his size. He is strong. His coaches call him a bull, and you can see why. He can just power through the defense with a great frame.
If you're just joining us, Australia hanging with Canada thanks to some great play by their goaltender, Sean Aaron. Looking to break through on offense and potentially tie the game. They never tied Team USA after the Americans took a lead last night. Matt Wood, kick save, Dobson. And Haase elevates with his vacuum cleaner of a stickhead. And a mistake in the clear, but no harm, no foul, as Wires finds the ground ball and pushes ahead. And a discombobulated possession for Canada, struggling to get themselves settled. Now Australia with a little bit of transition. Isaac Cahill. Timeout called by the Sharks as the Australians will set things up to probably hold for the last possession of the quarter. If they're able to be successful in their offense today, right, they're going to take a lot of time off the clock. 1:36 left. Get things settled. Know what you're trying to do. You don't need to worry about clearing the ball. This is a chance for them to tie the game.
1:30, you couldn't draw it up better. Excellent time to take a timeout. I expect for them to really start initiating, looking to create about that minute 15, minute 20, and then just get a quality look on goal. Ideally, not at the feet, because there have been a lot of saves in Canada's goal, shooting down nice and low, change the level, throw some fakes in. They're getting great looks. You just got to finish.
Yeah, Brett Dobson, who was a star at St. Bonaventure, has looked locked in between the pipes for Canada. Now back to Australia, though, coming out of this timeout, we've seen them move the ball around quite a bit, but no one has taken charge as that alpha. Who do you think coming out of the break might be ready to initiate and get them into a real created chance as opposed to a little bit of a meandering motion?
You know, I like the youth. Australia has some veteran players, and then they have some younger players who they like to call the jitterbugs. There's 3 of them. They work well together. Isaac Cahill, Cal Gibson, Mitch Baker, and they've worked coming up the ranks throughout the Australian system, playing with the U21 team. We've seen them do some great things. Although as I look right now, I don't see Mitch Baker on the field, but I think just changing things up. When you're unafraid, which these younger players are, just to try new things, get creative, good things can happen.
Cal Gibson, who led Australia with 6 shots last night, starts at the ball and moves it for Lockie Walker. He draws the assignment. Cam Wire is defending him. Walker happy to float into the box as the clock ticks down to 1:20 left in quarter number 1. McDonough comes to help him. He'll take Wilson behind the cage. McDonough, hard dodge, the goal line extended, looking to feed, moves it for Campbell McKinnon to the backside. It's Houston sweeping across to his right-hand alley. Clock under a minute to go in the first. Gibson shoved out by Latrell Harris. Gibson feeds out front. Houston makes the catch, but is stripped in the process by Mike Grace, a late addition to Canada's roster after Owen Grant was unable to make the trip out. Casey Wilson pushing. Now Wires. And Teat collects with under 30 seconds to go in the first. Can the Canadians tack one on before the whistle? Josh Burns still their only tally. Not even 5 minutes into the game. Australia's defense has been tough. Their goaltender, Sean Aaron, has been a wall. Curtis Dixon, the man they call Superman for his career of crease diving. Lee with a dive of his own. The RIT product, Ryan Lee, makes it 2-0. And Canada tallies one with 5.3 seconds left on the first quarter clock.
And that's a tough one if you're a Team Australia fan, to give up a goal with just 5 seconds left in the first half. They had been playing such solid defense, but Canada working on something different. I'd mentioned I'd like to see them feed the ball in tight, make some moves, some finishes, get that ball at a different space that Aaron hasn't been seeing in the goal cage, and they did it. They finished. Impressive.
That's one thing about this Canadian team. Their finishing ability around the goal is as good as you'll see around the world. The Haudenosaunee may be the only that can contend with that. As the first quarter clock hits triple zeros, Canada with a 2-0 lead on Australia. Thanks to Ryan Lee's first goal and second goal of the tournament. You're watching the 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championships live from San Diego, California. 1 quarter down, 3 to go, and a competitive game brewing at Torero Stadium as Canada's tally from Ryan Lee with 5.3 seconds left in the first quarter have the men in red up 2-0. See Josh Byrne, the other goal. He was a feature piece of Canada's Sixes team that won at the World Games last summer, and we figure to potentially see more of that discipline should lacrosse qualify for the Olympics in 2028, which is one piece of the equation of this event.
That's right. Lacrosse was shortlisted back in June of 2022. It's been an evaluation period. World Games a part of that. This World Championships are a part of that as well. It's continuing to happen. It's just a matter of whether or not the Olympic Committee finds it feasible. Hopefully so.
Dyson Williams had the assist on Ryan Lee's goal before the end of the first and beats Sean Aaron to make it 3-0.
You better believe some adjustments between quarter one and quarter two were happening on the sideline. Jeff Teat moving the ball, finding a wide open teammate down on the crease. Dyson Williams, as we had mentioned, an amazing finisher. Teat with the vision. Again, when you move the ball, good things happen. It's what Coach was talking about. He doesn't care who scores. It's a matter of playing as a team, playing as one, and Matt Brown guaranteed had some words for his players.
Williams scored 60 times for Duke in the spring as the Blue Devils were runners-up in NCAA Division I play here in the United States of America. That was his first goal of the tournament. Australia gets possession off the face-off and will settle in, trying to break the seal. Brett Dobson has made a series of kick saves and has been perfect between the pipes for Canada wearing the red uniforms. Australia in the gold. Both teams trying to rebound from losses in Pool A play. For Canada, they've had 2 days to think about their defeat to the United States. For Australia, they have had no time. They were here last night in the late game against the USA. Drive from Thomas Graham as he works it behind the net. Lockie Walker takes over. Matt Fuss comes to give him some help in a two-man game. Marilyn Reese, the two defenders for Canada. Cal Gibson, alley dodge, reverses field. Graham, step down, hums it wide. Remember, in field lacrosse, where and when the ball goes out, whoever is closest is awarded possession. In this case, it is Australia backing up the shot, as we like to say. Isaac Cahill, the wind-up toy, as they call it, the leader of the Jitterbug group. Now Graham, hands free. Dobson, another save. Graham feeding up top. Gibson can't handle the pass, and it's scooped up by Graham Hossack. That's been the story for Australia. They've created good looks, but haven't been able to finish. Ryan Lee, his shot goes wide, and it will stay with Canada.
All three of their goals have come from fast break situations, 2 from the defensive end, 1 from a face-off. So those quick possessions have proved to be more successful than that settled offense. They tend to have the eye on the net a little bit better.
Byrne, Peterson, Smith, Lee, Teat, and Dixon for Canada right now. There are 3 goals scored by Byrne, Lee, and Williams. Peterson, a couple of goals against the U.S. in the opening game of the tournament. He plays catch with Josh Byrne. Peterson dodging. Peterson with physicality. Dixon. Step down. Byrne scores!
Josh Byrne with his second goal of the day. Number 4 for Canada. We talked about him being an initiator dodger. He also is quite the sniper from the outside. Uses his left hand, his dominant hand. As soon as he catches this ball, he turns, he squares his hips. He gets his full body in motion. That's how he generates so much power. Looks like Aaron got a piece of that, but too much mustard on that one.
Graham and Inacio in a brawl at the face-off X. They've had a couple of good tie-ups so far, and it's Graham who comes out with it. Australia possession, Chris Moffitt. So Canada up 4-0 after Josh Byrne's second of the game. Australia still trying to break through. Lockie Walker feeding the middle. Wires out in transition. Up ahead to Jeff Teat, 2-on-1. Dixon finishes on the doorstep. That's been the theme of the game so far for Canada. Transition play and the fast break.
That's the aggressive play that their coach was talking about. He felt like they didn't take advantage as much in the Team USA games. He felt like they were slowing the ball in transition, settling it maybe when they shouldn't have. They are generating numbers in transition right now. Teat, again, he oftentimes has the assist. His eyes are up. He sees Curtis Dixon down on that crease. A simple 2v1. You move the ball to the open player. But this is only generated from the defense, getting that ball out quickly.
Second dime of the game for Jeff Teat. First goal of the tournament for Curtis Dixon. A year ago, almost to the day, Dixon decided to leave the Calgary Roughnecks and come here to San Diego, play professional lacrosse. Now a very different set of circumstances in what they call America's finest city. Here's Dixon with the ball as Lockie Russell comes back behind the net with him and way back into the corner. Little bit of deja vu brewing for Australia after the U.S. went up 5-0 at the end of the first quarter last night. Took a 10-2 lead into halftime before a pretty muted and very competitive second half that saw Australia fight to the finish. 12-3 the final score of that game. Canada has all their offensive personnel on the field. Connor Fields, dual citizen between the U.S. and Canada. Teat. Williams gets it past Aaron. Second for Dyson Williams. And a timeout on the field as the Canadians have opened up a 6-0 lead as this train is just starting to pull out of the station. Sean Aaron was great to start, but it's been too much as the Canadians have peppered him in the last 5 minutes. Williams, the latest in on the party. You're watching the World Lacrosse. If there's anything we've learned about Australia through the first 2 games and change of Pool A play, it's that if you're going to score on them, you're going to have to do it with crisp and quick ball movement. Lucky for Canada, they're pretty darn good at that.
The stick work that Canada displays, it goes back to their box roots. They're used to working in tight spaces, so when you give them more space, they can pass the ball in the box, as we call it, right around that head. Do it quickly. The quicker that you move it, the tougher it is for defense to shift and move and maneuver. And that last one was picture perfect passing from player to player, moving their feet, getting that ball to the right position.
The Canadians have already exceeded their goal total from the opening game against the U.S. Dropped that one 7-5 here with 6 goals now at the halfway point in quarter number 2. Jeff Teat has been a big part of that, facilitating to the tune of 3 assists, as we suggested he might at the top of the broadcast. Now Dyson Williams, still a collegiate at Duke. Wesley Berg thinks about a dodge from the wing, but instead will move the ball along.
A little bit of a different setup. They have 2 players posted inside as they're swinging the ball around. You want to try and see if you can draw the double, hit the backside.
Teat. Feeding for Williams, scores again. The hat-trick goal for Dyson Williams, courtesy of the brilliance of Jeff Teat.
A little bit of give and go action, different than what we've seen Dyson Williams and Jeff Teat do on their last goal. Again, another settled offensive goal. Patience, maneuvering the ball around the perimeter. And a nice simple give and go, underutilized. Williams started with the ball, gave it up to Teat, and then did a backdoor cut. Well played, underutilized, especially for all those young players watching.
And Asio called for a hold, so Australia awarded possession off the faceoff. 3 goals in the first half for Dyson Williams, 4 assists for Jeff Teat, as Canada has poured in 5 goals in this second quarter after a muted first 15. Australia still trying to solve Brett Dobson, When they've had opportunities, the Canadian netminder has been up to the task in a big way, getting his first taste of men's world championship action. Looked on from the sidelines when Dylan Ward got the start against the U.S. Braden Pantine trotting his way deep into the zone. Mike Grace, the short stick defender. Pantine. 3 dodges, now reverses. Splits underneath. Merrill switches to him. The feed for Cahill, can't handle it cleanly. McDonough. And a loose ball out front. Pantine, Dobson robs him. Have a day, Brett Dobson. Now here comes Canada with numbers. Patrick Shumay, Lee, the trailer, Grace can't handle the feed and gets blown up, drawing a flag in the process.
That looked like a clean hit from up here. However, referees are down on the field. They have a close eye on the play.
Head official today, Keith Glock. Other officials, Mark Buckley, Eric Campbell, Tyler Nikolajewski, and the bench official, Dan Douglazima. But Brett Dobson doing a little bit of everything between the net for Canada. Second look at the hit on Grace.
Might have been a little head-to-head action right there. Definitely not from behind.
Lee turned aside by Aaron. Big save on the man down for Australia. They can clear it out ahead to Donnie Walker. Australia has created chances but has not been able to finish them. Part of that has been Brett Dobson's brilliance between the net. Part of that, though, has been struggling at times to connect on their passes.
They're pumping the ball inside a lot, and that's where they've either been picked off, knocked off, or gotten checked as soon as they've caught it. I like that they're looking to take a risk, but if they could just finish on the quality shot selection that they've had on that last one, it was a point-blank 1v none right in front of the goal, and Brett Dobson was an absolute brick wall.
The Australians kill the penalty. McDonough, the late man on, handles the ball. Prevented by Wilson, trots him back behind the net, accelerates, zigzags his way, and draws a penalty. McDonough changes on him, feeds, Houston, Dobson swallows up another. Wilson called for the slash, will sit down for a minute, and Australia will have their first man up of the game. They've gone just 1 for 9 on the extra man in 2 games entering today. So you have to think Glenn Meredith hoping for a little bit more success in that department today.
That's not a statistic that you want to have when you're a man up. Find the open player, move the ball quickly, get the defense shifting.
Cahill off the cycle from Wood, back up top for Houston. Houston, the Greyhound of Loyola, Maryland. Cahill back to Houston. Australia on a man-up opportunity, trying to break through against Brett Dobson, who has been flawless. Baker, back to Matt Wood, cycling around, feeding near side. Baker, and an off-stick high save by Dobson, who is just locked in.
I get why Australia's been pumping the ball in initially, because their outside shots are just not working. When a goalie is seeing the ball, makes it so very difficult to score from around the perimeter. But this shot from downtown looked too easy. Looked like he was playing catch.
Looked like a warm-up shot almost. Dobson so nonchalant controlling the rebound. And now Canada killing off the remainder of the penalty. Back to 6-on-6. 3 goals for Dyson Williams leading the way. 4 assists for Jeff Teat. Dane Smith moves it over to Teat, who has been the initiator. He'll dodge from the high corner, but not before a timeout is called by Matt Brown and Canada. 53.9 seconds remaining in the half. Canada in control, 7-0. Cooper Perkins, Courtney Martinez-Connor with you. We talked at the top of the broadcast, Canada wanting to show a little bit more on offense. Matt Brown didn't care who was scoring. He just wanted to see them score more. That is exactly what they've done today as they try and march their way up the pool standings. Should they win, they'll move to 1-1 and either be tied with the Haudenosaunee at the end of the day or be by themselves in third place. Haudenosaunee play the United States after this game here at Torero Stadium at 7 o'clock local time, 10 p.m. Eastern. Australia, meanwhile, still has to see the Haudenosaunee. They will play them on Sunday before rounding out their pool play and having Monday off. But Canada getting some different faces into the action. We want to talk about the scorers, but really it's the passers who have been the difference makers for Canada today as opposed to the opener against the U.S.
When you have vision on the field, it is very tough to match. It's hard to defend as the ball moves quickly. Your head is spinning around. As a goalkeeper, you have to change and turn, step with your angles. So they're doing their job on the offensive end of the field by doing that, moving that ball quickly, but defensively, what we saw that first quarter, right? Some really tough defense, some great saves from the keepers, and we've seen a team made an adjustment, and as of now, it is just Canada. On the flip side, Australia not stepping up. They have not made any adjustments offensively. I'd say they've actually touched the ball a little bit less, taking some outside shots, squandering some offensive possessions.
You had to look for a moment at maybe the man of the match so far, Brett Dobson. This is counterpart Sean Aaron, who started hot, but Dobson has stayed hot. Perfect so far, and not without some tough tests. Australia has peppered him at different points, but the St. Bonnie's great has been exactly that for Canada. Nothing short of great. Canada wearing the red, just over 40 seconds to go until halftime. Peterson and Smith playing catch. Tough draw here for Donnie Howard, tasked with defending Smith. He's as explosive of a dodger as Canada has on the field.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Incredibly fast.
Here he is, gets his hands free, surveying to feed. Back to Dixon. Dixon gets a step underneath, swinging around for the score. Superman goes airborne with 13 and a half ticks left to the break, and Canada's up 8-0.
Dane Smith, he started this dodge essentially just to be that feeder. As soon as he moved it, Dixon, as you had mentioned, Superman, they call him that because of his high-flying crease dives, not just in World Championships, but in the NLL as well, where he plays professionally.
Became the 8th member of the 500 goal club this past season for the local San Diego Seals. Tacks one on for Canada, his second of the game. Ignacio fighting for the ground ball and is called for the hold. Australia with 6 seconds left gets one final prayer. Lockie Walker gets it away, and Brett Dobson is there to collect. So Canada, a slow start to the first half, but their offense comes to life with 6 in the second quarter. Williams with 3, Dixon with 2, Byrne with 2. It's the All-Canada show right now as you're watching Pool A play in the World Lacrosse Men's Championship. You're watching the 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship presented by Rady's Children's Hospital. Start of the third quarter, Canada in control on top of the Sharks of Australia thanks to a second quarter explosion led by Jeff Tietz, 4 assists, Dyson Williams 3 goals, and ball movement that will make their head coach Matt Brown happy. For Australia, bright spots, they contended through the first. The defense has been tough, but Canada just too much skill, too much firepower so far.
I mean, when you really think about it, it was almost just 1-0 in that first quarter. Their defense was stifling. Again, stopping those one-on-ones, stopping with the feeds inside, but then it just got too difficult for them. I think Canada was very smart in pushing that transition. That tempo play is something that their head coach wanted to see them do a better job of, and they certainly did with getting that ball out of the defensive end nice and quick.
Ignacio called for covering it up. That has been maybe the most exciting battle of the afternoon. Justin Ignacio and Tim Graham at the face-off X. The Australian Graham has more than held his own. Lucas Parsons-Quintio, joined by Matt Wood, Braden Pantine, Mitch Baker, Lucky Walker, and Connor McDonough. Parsons-Quintio will get off the field. The late man on, Isaac Cahill. Baker dodging against Cameron Wires, probing his way and leaving the ball for Pantine. Harris, Reese, Wilson, Shumay, Myers, and Merrill for Canada. Dobson stays between the pipes after a perfect first half.
Canada pushing out defensively early here in the third quarter, not giving much space to Australia. I like that they're changing things up, taking a little bit more risks.
Trying to show that they can play in different ways. Their head coach, Matt Brown, said that he wants them to be a chameleon-like group. They can adapt to different situations. They can push the ball, but can also be smart. They're trying to show some different identities here in search of being that chameleon that can fit in any different game. Isaac Cahill off the roll dodge, getting chased down by Latrell Harris. Back behind the net, Walker drops it off to Wood. Australia still trying to get in the scoring column. Brett Dobson has been a brick wall, several layers deep. Perfect 9 for 9 officially at halftime. Pantine out of Perth, played in the U20 men's championships back in 2016. Dodging underneath, Pantine, trail check by Reese. Ball out front, Pantine, Dobson with a robbery.
Those instances just like that, Australia, they have some opportunities and they just haven't been able to put it away, especially one-on-one with the keeper. It just seems like the ball finds its way into his stick.
Last night, Glenn Meredith felt a little bit frustrated that they hit 3 pipes. Today, he has to be similarly frustrated that they've been robbed of at least 3 goals by the brilliance of Brett Dobson. So still pitching a shutout. Canada now gets their first possession of the second half. Comes 3 minutes into the third quarter. Late man on, Clark Peterson, as Dane Smith goes and swaps places with him. Australia's defense so tough, but it's the ball movement of Canada that's been able to beat them. They lined up straight ahead and were trying to dodge in the first quarter with really no success against this defense. That just shows their toughness and their ability to communicate.
It's all about following the game plan. Do what the coaches ask. They want you to move the ball. They want you to share it. They want to have a good team offensive set. And that is most definitely what we've seen, as most of their goals have been assisted.
Fields off the fake. Aaron plucks it out of the air.
Did I just say most? Maybe all, right?
Very appropriate. Australia on the clear, taking their time. In the international game, there is no failure to advance by time. So very methodical. The Sharks trying to maximize their possession time today. Glenn Meredith told us he wants them to be about 1:15 per possession, maybe as much as 1:30. They were just 50 seconds per touch last night against the USA. Will not get it done, and it hasn't so far, as they've still been scoreless. But Baker hits the post on the follow. Shumay gobbles it up, and Canada's out and running. There is a lid on the goal for Australia today. Shumay to the trailer, Challen Rogers.
Transition game has been so very clean for Canada after they got out of that first quarter, the second, now into the third. Transition the ball well. If there's any opportunities in front of them, they're dodging and moving that ball. And then when it's not, they're taking their time. They don't need to rush at this point. They're up by 8 goals. They can let the clock do the work for them as they make some changes on the offensive end.
After a slow start that saw them net just a pair in the first quarter, Canada erupted for 6 in the second. Dyson Williams, who dodges now with 3 goals to lead all scorers. Feeding the middle, Teat behind the back, Fields. And Aaron got on top of it. The ball movement couldn't have been any prettier, but the Australian keeper steals one from Canada. And Australia gives it right back on the clear attempt.
Ball movement, just like we talked about. Teat with the behind the back feed. I mean, you don't get any more on the money than that. But Aaron in goal from Union College. He's a lefty. His hands are just so incredibly fast. His outlet passes, they're on the money.
Yeah, Aaron, now a transplant to Australia, where he's lived for more than a decade, has become a linchpin for this Australia team. He and Ryan Spark are really viewed as even level goaltenders by the coaching staff, but Aaron has been the hot hand today. Glenn Meredith told us that they will stick with who's hot. Aaron did everything to convince them in the first half that he should get the second, and he rewards Meredith with the save on Fields one-on-one.
Do you know Sean Aaron's story? His journey to Australia, probably one of the best. The fact that he went to Australia in 2016 to play some club lacrosse, met someone, stayed, married her, has a couple kids, and now he's an Australian citizen. I'd say that was a successful trip.
The beautiful internationality of lacrosse delivers for Sean Aaron. Dane Smith forcing the middle, trying to get it to Wesley Berg, cutting to the nets. No backup for Canada, as the men in red leading 8-0 halfway through the third quarter. Canada in control, trying to break through in the third. We'll be back with more. You're watching the 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship. The 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship, presented by Rady Children's Hospital, the largest children's hospital on the West Coast, the top 10 in the nation. Australia and Canada. The Sharks fighting for their fans, but a 6-goal outburst by Canada in the second, and some exceptional goaltending by that man, Brett Dobson, have kept the men in red in control. Quite the bounce-back effort after their frustrating loss to Team USA in the opening game of the tournament.
That opening game, their offense was just a little bit too passive. They pulled up in transition more times than what their coaches felt like they should have, and they wanted just to start earlier. Start early, start often, get the goals rolling. Didn't necessarily happen first quarter, but second, it did. And then now we see this 10-man ride as things are getting pushed up.
Aaron tries to get it on net. Backed up, and here comes McDonough in a hurry. That's a new look for Canada, the 10-man ride.
And Australia almost coming up with a goal out of it. I like the risk, the effort to back up the goal. Closest to the ball and where it goes out is the one who gets it. That was a pretty tight race.
Swim dodge, Baker on Wilson. Lost the ball for a moment, recollects, moves it ahead. Houston spins it for Cal Gibson. Australia still trying to score more than halfway through the third quarter. Force feed inside for Lockie Walker and another Canadian takeaway. And Cam Wires couldn't quite handle the feed ahead as Australia's ever aggressive and high effort ride wins them another possession. If anything embodies the Australian spirit, it is the fire with which they ride. Everyone flying around trying to force a turnover. Back into their offensive set, McDonough initiating from the wing against Wilson. McDonough gets hammered from behind, and 2 flags come soaring in.
Bit of unnecessary roughness on that last play. I like the quickness that he was dodging with. Saw him change directions ever so quickly. Desperation. Push.
Casey Wilson for Canada has done a really nice job as an on-ball defender. Australia's been trying to isolate him for most of the game, trying to invert him behind the net. The short stick team mid out of Victoria, BC has been up to the task in a big way.
You know, it's all about footwork. When you have good feet, when you get yourself low, get your stick out as far as you can and just be physical with the attacking player, you're gonna find success. So 2 players down.
So Graham Hossick called for a hold, which doesn't quite seem right, but it'll be 2 30-second technicals as we understand it. Ryan Lee, the in-home, will serve the other penalty as Hossick sits down to join him for a quick chat. Just a couple of lads in the penalty box.
In a 6-on-4, if there is an opportunity to score, now is the one. You are 2 players extra. Move the ball quickly. Move your feet.
Baker feeding. Walker! Australia finally breaks through with the 5:42 mark thanks to Lockie Walker's first goal of the tourney.
Lachlan Walker, he's the captain, a leader on this team. Generally the feeder, but when you have a teammate out there, Mitch Baker, who's also known for his feeding capabilities, you find and put yourself in a position to score. Nice quick ball movement. Again, 2 extra players. So as soon as you get them shifting and rotating, you know that you have numbers, and it's a matter of placing it around, which we haven't seen that the entire game. The entire game, goalkeeper for Canada has had the number of Australia. He's been in the right place, right time. Brett Dobson, this time, give that one to the Australians.
Glenn Meredith talked yesterday about breaking through against England after going more than a quarter scoreless, and how that kind of took the load off their shoulders, and they visibly were much looser after that point. Similar story last night. The U.S. just too much firepower when it was all said and done. How much, though, does this change the dynamic for Australia's offense from a mental standpoint, having broken through and finally beaten Brett Dobson?
You know, he also talked about the little wins, and that's a little win. Getting a point on the board against one of the best teams in the country, either number 1 or in the world, number 1 or 2. So that little win, getting your team on the board, and then you build off of that 1 goal at a time. You know, I don't think anybody walked in expecting Australia to pounce on Canada. So little wins, get a goal here and there, and finish your offensive options.
Glenn was quite the jokester with us before the game. Told us that they want to take the air out of the ball. They want to have slow possessions, you know, whether they're down by a goal or 2 to shorten the game, or whether they're up by 10 as they expect to be. Of course, things have played out a little bit differently, but nonetheless, the Sharks fighting to every whistle and the end of every play. Still man up here. Finally breaking through with 5:42 to go in the 3rd quarter after Brett Dobson did a little transformation into a brick wall for the entirety of the first half, of the 3rd quarter. Isaac Cahill moves the ball ahead to Justin Houston. Wood for Walker, who scored the goal. Mitch Baker had the assist. Back to Houston. Wood. Penalty released. Here comes Harris. Turnaround. Cahill rings the post. And Dobson's dive awards Canada possession. Another good look for Australia that just doesn't come up in a goal.
even though we have several big factors offensively for Canada, Dyson Williams scoring a bunch of goals, Curtis Dixon, Jeff Teat with the assist, you have to give credit where credit is due. He has just had too many saves, Brett Dobson in goal for Canada, and that spark and what's kept the game close, especially in that first quarter and now even into the third.
Here's Dyson Williams. Going back for his 5th year at Duke, figures to be the top pick in the NLL draft upcoming. Smith thought about a step down. Williams will take it. And Bazooka one wide. Williams, the leading scorer for Canada today with 3 goals. 2 for both Curtis Dixon and Josh Byrne. Here's Jeff Teat with 4 apples, turning in some assists. Westberg reverses it back for Dane Smith. Underhand feed off a pick. Teat's shot muscles through the D and goes wide.
The amount of shots that Canada can generate just simply by moving the ball, having a little wheel motion offense off of ball. So very impressive to watch. It looks so natural, so comfortable, so easy.
Step down for Teat. Brought a moving screen, and here comes Australia off the turnover. It's a little bit different of a look. We're seeing more of the deliberate screen game from Canada on their offense. Once again, mixing things up, showing different looks on both ends of the field.
What I like about Canada and the fact that Australia knew what to expect. They knew that they like to run 2-man game. They know that they like to run some picks and slips, but he said Canada's a little bit of a mix between Team USA and the Haudenosaunee, who they're going to have to play the Haudenosaunee as well. So all of these are good matches heading into pool play as you face each of these difficult opponents, because everyone in Pool A will move on.
Howard's shot kicks off a helmet and well up out of bounds. Nice feed by McDonough to find him racing in. 2.5 to go in the third quarter. Australia, the lone tally of the second half, thanks to Lockie Walker and a 6-on-4. Cal Gibson tallied one last night against the U.S. Watched closely by Challen Rogers. Off a fake, Gibson gets GLE. Gibson buries on Dobson. Don't get up yet. Australia's offense finding a little rhythm, and they're back within 6.
Another one of the jitterbugs, number 4 in gold, Cal Gibson. We see him right there, that little hesitation, acting like he's given that ball up. Little miscue by the defense. He's small, he's quick, he can score, and that's what you saw defensively right there. Number 26 in red, a little bit frustrated because all it takes is a little feint. Lacrosse is about making an effort on and off ball, and right there he made it look like he was going to work off ball with someone, make a pass, didn't, carried it on. Impressive.
Australia has done a great job at keeping possessions roughly even off of the face-off X. They go right back into their offense with 65 seconds left in the third quarter and a chance, if they'd like to hold for the last possession. Braden Panting, the late man on, as we go 6-on-6. Australia in gold, Canada in red. Pool A play at the 2023 Men's World Championships in San Diego, California. Matt Wood being hounded by Graham Hossack. Throws a shoulder fake, gets around him, and is stripped from behind on the trail check. Nice recovery by Hossack, who's known as one of the best turnover causers in the indoor game. Now Harris starting transition as Canada will get their chance for the last possession. Dixon. Connor Fields. Surveys, swims, changes hands and rolls back. Fields throws it away, looking for Dixon with 9.5 seconds left in the third.
That was almost looking like an ending to that first quarter where they scored with less than 5. Not as much movement.
At the buzzer, the shot from Teat hums wide. And we are through 45 minutes with the Canadians on top 8-2. But it's Australia outscoring them 2-0 in the third quarter. Sean Aaron pitching a third quarter shutout as the Sharks aren't ready to go yet, but they have some work to do to come from behind. The 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship, sponsored by Rady Children's Hospital, the largest children's hospital on the West Coast, ranked among the 10 best children's hospitals in the nation. Australia shuts out Canada 2-0 in the third, and we head to the final 15 with the Sharks down by 6. Look there at Dyson Williams. 3 goals to lead all scorers today, but Australia has done a lot of good things. They've just had so many missed opportunities, whether they've hit the pipe or Brett Dobson has robbed them of a goal. An encouraging game for them because they've competed with arguably the best team in the world, but a frustrating one nonetheless, because if you're Glenn Meredith, you have to think that there's more that they could have had.
That's right. They did a good job of adjusting on the defensive end. Their adjustments that they made when they played Team USA, significant. And same thing now, placing against Canada. Those adjustments on the defensive end, we saw them switch into a zone there at the end. Hence, Canada started setting some screens, swinging the ball. But I like the fact that they're willing, again, to do something different. If it's not working for you, you have to make a change in order to be successful.
If Australia's the Sharks, Canada would like to be the Chameleons. That's how their coach Matt Brown looks at things, able to play any kind of game with any kind of style. Josh Byrne goes at the shorty. Howard down the alley, reverses and rolls back. Redodge. Byrne twists a pass behind for Dixon. He's got a pair of goals. Pushed out by Lockie Russell. Smith underhand feed. Byrne zips it wide. Aaron has it for Australia. It was stopped for Australia and a chance to maybe make this thing interesting.
One thing to note, their coach had talked about them being a team who likes to push the ball on offense in these games. That's one thing we've seen them take some long offensive sets. That wasn't quite working initially when they were a player up. Towards the end of that third quarter, they got on the board, made another big play. I'd like to see them in transition try things. They want to be creative. They said they want to be known as a team who can push the ball and is not as focused on X's and O's, but just playing, get out, do some run and gun, maybe put some more points on the board.
Australia gets the last of their subs on. Cal Gibson, the late man on, will take over. Defended by Challen Rogers. Gibson, one of the 2 goal scorers for Australia. They trailed 8-0 to start the third quarter. Mitch Baker working on wires and has it stripped and taken away as Rogers, a one-hand scoop. Canada out with some numbers. Rogers, 2-time transition player of the year in the NLL. Dixon off a head fake. Fakes the flip to Teat. Dixon gets doubled and turned aside. Nice recovery by Russell. And he wheels all the way around to the opposite side of the field.
He's putting that arm out there to get hit quite a bit. These players are tough. Officials have been calling the games tight again from countries all across the world. But when you look at what these players do game in, game out, in so many games in just such a short amount of time, what their bodies take.
Feed across the wrong side of Jeff Teat's face. The ball ended up in the net, but it is waved off. And Canada called for a procedure, gives the ball back to Australia. Well, here comes Matt Fuss. Harris pulls it out. Australia has scored the last 2 goals and is trying to put some pressure on the favorites to meet the United States of America in the gold medal game when it's all said and done. Pool A play at the University of San Diego. First half of a doubleheader here at the World Championships. USA and the Haudenosaunee will play later tonight at 7 o'clock. That'll be a fantastic matchup. Lockie Walker got underneath. Walker couldn't get his shot through and then ends up on his backside with a flag on the field. And Australia likely headed to the man up. Wires takes the unnecessary roughness call.
Getting on the underside of his defensive player, Lachlan Walker. And it was that hit right there. Again, these players, they're tough, they're physical, they get right back up. When you look at what lacrosse is equivalent to, a multitude of sports from football, they're running a lot, just like you do in soccer. X's and O's, just like basketball.
Australia to the man up for the third time. They're 1 for 2 on the extra man. Houston running the point. Wood flips it for Cahill. Back to Wood at goal line extended. Lockie Walker works it around to Mitch Baker. Feeding the backside cut for Cahill. Deflected by Canada. Stick of Casey Wilson got a piece. So stays with the Aussies in gold. Houston out of Loyola, Maryland. Baker skip pass to no one. And Australia gives it back, and Canada can kill off the rest of the penalty.
In 2022, Baker had led the team, the U21 team, in terms of points, 7 goals, 9 assists. We've seen a lot of the young players do some great things, and then we've also seen them be young, inexperienced players at the senior level.
A bright future nonetheless for the Shark program of Australia. Jeff Teat feeding the cutter Wilson. D-mid stays on for a quick shift of offense. Offside on Matt Wood will give Canada a 30-second man up. See Curtis Dixon there, 2 goals today for Canada. His first 2 goals of the tournament. Lucas Parsons Quintio, defensive midfielder for a unit from Australia that has held Canada scoreless in the second half. Nearly halfway through the fourth quarter, Canada has yet to break the second half seal. Remember, they held the U.S. to 2 in the second half last night. Dixon stings the high corner. So Curtis Dixon breaks through for Canada, back up by 7. And that's the man-up firepower that Canada has.
Curtis Dixon, a former all-world player. Again, the Superman, as you had mentioned, such a great off-ball finisher, a true veteran on the field for Canada.
Canada by 7. Final 8 minutes coming up after this. Right before the break, Curtis Dixon tallies his 3rd of the afternoon and gives Canada their first goal since halftime. It came on the man up and just kind of demonstrates how dangerous Canada is. You can make the case Dixon wasn't even really open there. He shoots around the defender and buries the corner.
The slick stick of Curtis Dixon. Westberg, he was the one who saw Dixon down low. Again, the ability to get your arms up and away, shooting around the defensive player, that's how you do it. You can't keep your arms in tight. They were a player up, essentially could have probably moved the ball one more time. Nevertheless, their shooting has been on par, and somebody broke the seal finally, and Curtis Dixon being the one here in the fourth quarter.
Jackson Stock takes the face-off against Inacio for Australia and wins it. Lucas Parsons Quintio comes out with it. So Australia has done an impressive job at the X today. An area where they may not feel they had an advantage coming in, but Tim Graham and now Stock have done a really good job making every face-off competitive. So Canada in red, back up by 7. Australia has created their fair share of chances, but Brett Dobson was flawless in the first half. They've hit a couple of pipes in the second half. Houston feeding up top. Walker stings it near side. Lockie Walker is second of the game.
Lachlan Walker opened up the scoring for Australia in the third quarter. And then the vision behind the goal, Matt Houston, a quiet player. He's the one who missed a lot of his spring season due to a broken arm. Like that skip pass up over the top, and Lachlan with the bomb from downtown, giving Australia their third goal of the match. And I'd say, again, those little wins. They had 0 goals in the first 2 quarters, and now they've been able to put up 3.
Australia didn't score until halfway through the third. They've actually outscored Canada 3-1 in the second half. Played the U.S. to the tune of 2-1 in the second half last night. Australia showing their ability to make adjustments, particularly on defense, where they have been nothing short of phenomenal in their man-to-man matchups, one-on-one. It's been the ball movement for Canada that's led to their success when they've had it. Teat feeding for the cutter off a screen, Ryan Lee. Loose ball, hold. Canada ball. Under 6 to go. Clark Peterson scored a couple times against Team USA, but has been quiet today. Josh Byrne, a couple of early goals in the first half. Dane Smith, a couple of assists. Now Byrne probing, looking for help, finds Dane Smith. Backside pass, Teat feeding for Dixon. And that's just how creative Jeff Teat is. 95% of players are stepping into a shot there. Teat is looking for the man sneaking around the crease.
You know, and that's what's going to be open. In zones, you have to have cutters coming through. The adjustments that Australia has made have been significant on the defensive end, but when a defense makes an adjustment, you then in turn make one offensively as well.
Canada hounding on the ride. And the loose ball push gives it back to Australia. Curtis Dixon would not give up on that play. Donnie Howard tucks it across the timeline and gets it in for Australia. Clock under 4.5 to play. USA Haudenosaunee coming up at 7 o'clock local time in San Diego. Haudenosaunee, of course, their big 18-goal outburst yesterday against England. Austin Stotts with 8 goals and 9 points.
You have to look at the different factors between Australia as well as Canada. Australia played last night. Canada, they were off. They're a little bit fresher. You can start to see the fatigue a little bit for Australia, but they are not giving up.
Yeah, Quint Kesenick made the point last night on the Australia-USA broadcast that the Aussies get better as the tournament goes on. Ryan Lee by himself, stoned by Aaron. Lee thought he had a gimme, and Aaron says not today. If you like goaltending, this has been the game for you.
If anyone would have said that Canada was not going to put up at least 10 goals, they probably would not have believed you, or that they were shut out for an entire quarter. But just as you had mentioned, both sides of the ball, both goalies have been tremendous. Each maybe having one quarter off where they had a cup of coffee, but nevertheless, the number of saves that they've been able to have point blank, standing tall.
Under 3 to go, Williams. Canada back at it tomorrow against the Haudenosaunee. Australia, meanwhile, one more game to wrap out their pool play. The Canada will let it get away from them here, and Australia controls another possession.
In talking with Coach Matt Brown of Canada, they were prepared for seeing both man-to-man and zone. It can be a little bit difficult offensively to get into a flow or any kind of rhythm when a defense is going back and forth, because what was working the possession before isn't necessarily going to work the next time.
Now under 2 minutes in the fourth, no longer a running clock. Just the last 30 seconds of the first 3 quarters and the final 2 minutes of the game. Pantene giving one final dodge on Connor Field, stuck back. McDonough hums it outside. Nice matchup awareness by Australia to see Connor Field stuck back on defense.
And you think that would be a matchup that you would want to take as often.
Wood feeding, and McKinnon has it slapped away. Challen Rogers racing after it and gives a little hockey flip up ahead to Curtis Dixon. Dixon for Fields, turns, fires. Canada still keeping the gas on here with 72 seconds to go. Their transition game has been so dangerous.
That's the key in the second quarter, where they were getting a majority of their goals, as well as in the first. Fast breaks from the defensive end, from the face-off, unsettled situations, picking up a ground ball. And the offense has been pretty good that the coaches are drawing up for Canada. Just the execution side of it, a pass that isn't quite there, as we saw in that last one coming in and around the crease.
Chris Moffat called for a slash, sends Canada to the man up. 1 for 2 on the extra man. So Canada will move to 1-1 in Pool A play. Australia, meanwhile, will fall to 1-2. Both teams, though, set to move on as the seeding keeps Pool A 1 through 5, regardless of the outcome of their games. Now, that not to say that the seeding reflects the same as the rankings, but however they stack up in the standings is how they will be seeded going into the playoff round. Curtis Dixon for Wesley Berg, now Josh Byrne. One final look around. Teat finishes on the doorstep, and Canada cracks double figures for good measure.
Canada with the crisp ball movement in their man-up offense. A little bit of a tic-tac-toe, finding Teat down low. Connor Fields. Seems like Jeff had all the time in the world. That defensive side was a little bit late coming from Australia, but that puts them into double digits, Canada.
As good as Sean Aaron has been today, there is no goalie on the planet that has an advantage on Jeff Teat in a one-on-none situation. Perfect on penalty shots this year in NLL play for the New York Riptide, and showing his chops as a finisher around the crease. Final 10 seconds as Canada can just hang on and wind this one out. The horn sounds and the final score. Canada beats Australia 10-3. 3 goals for Dyson Williams, 3 goals for Curtis Dixon. So Canada now 1-1, Australia 1-2. The outcome of tonight's game between the United States and the Haudenosaunee is huge for Pool A, as either the U.S. will be 3-0 and in the driver's seat heading into their game against last place England, or things could get interesting should the Haudenosaunee pull what would likely be considered a pretty big upset, but very doable nonetheless. One final time, Canada beats Australia 10-3. For Courtney Martinez-Connor, for our entire crew here at USD, my name is Cooper Perkins saying thanks for tuning in. Hope you'll join us for the nightcap here for the 2023 World Lacrosse Men's Championship.